oversættelsesform, det er også sådan noget.
So, I'm looking into the business model, right? It's about, some people say that the libraries are rearranging the deck chairs on Titanic. We don't know yet. But libraries on the net, some of the services that we have introduced in Denmark are cooperative services. We call them net libraries. Actually, they're subject portals where libraries work together in providing content, frames for all these subject portals. Some of them are actually very successful. We also have the library's net music with more than 2 million tracks in MP3 format. The big thing about that is to get the agreements with the right owners. But it has happened. And it actually is quite a success. This is a limited service because it costs something for the libraries. But every library has a portion, so to speak, to give out to the public. And that has increased over the years, and it's quite popular. The downloads are more than 2.5 million per year. So it's right now we are really promoting the content, the net media, the new media to the public, doing all kinds of ads and marketing of these services from the libraries, because they're relatively unknown still to very many users that they actually can get this from the libraries. And in Denmark, we don't have these structural problems because most people have access to broadband. And right now there's a commission on broadband that also will make recommendations on broadband accessibility, like the Finnish one that was mentioned yesterday. So broadband will be all over nowadays. And one of the technological very good things is that we actually, these net libraries has a lot of interesting content that we can actually embed in the OPAC automatically via the technology called web service. So we put in content and we use wisdom of the crowd systems like the Amazon. For instance, others who have borrowed this book from Margaret Atwood has borrowed these books. So this technology is relatively simple to put up. So every book on the OPAC has these automatically generated recommendations. And stuff from about the same novel, there's a web portal called the Literature webpage that is organized by librarians in more than 70 libraries. So the basic for this is actually a vision that is about liberating data and information, make the user's knowledge visible, create relation between data, and place information in a meaningful content for the users. This is what the vision is for our technological work. Because right now, a lot of data is stored in these containers with each their internal logic and structures and so on. What we want to do, and are actually doing, is to have a lot of sources, some vendor sources also, and harvest all these sources and indexing all these sources, put them into a data well, and you have an application layer with so-called APIs and web services that makes it possible to generate all kinds of information from that data well to come out in all these different formats, all these different user interfaces. This is kind of the... So the perspectives of this is that we need to have public service partnerships. I'm actually head of the citizen services and libraries in Aarhus. We amalgamated in 2006 because we could see that citizen services, which are about passports and social security, health insurance and all that kind of stuff, they are basically working with information and giving out information. Right now it's very transaction based because you need to have the passport, but in a few years you will ask for the passport yourself. It will be self-service, totally self-service. All these activities will be self-service. So what is left? What is left is the training and the help that is connected with it. So that's why we are joining forces here. Hopefully it's in co-production. making the user's knowledge integrated in the services, and even using, as with this wisdom of the crowd thing. Yesterday I saw it was mentioned that the newly delivered books on the bookshelves. Everybody who has been a librarian knows that people will tend to take the books that has just been delivered because they know there have been a good selection there. Gradual liberation from analog media over time. I think that we will just have to face that in the libraries. And then think about new formats and universes in our service production. New formats. One of the most inspiring places I've ever seen is called De Bali in Amsterdam, which is actually a kind of a theater where they make public debate and so on. They pick out themes and then they create a format around it. Maybe a club evening discussing the Gazprom threat in Europe. How can we deal with the fact that Russia may be sitting on all the resources? How can we debate that? We make a club evening. Some bright heads discussing, having a little drink, dance afterwards. Or the beauty parlor format, where immigrant women are offered for free a manicure if they tell about their life. And then professionals will write new stories about these lives, and then other Dutch women are invited to have a free manicure. Listening to these stories, they get a headset on, everything for free. But that's a new format. We need to think about formats for all these physical things that are happening in the libraries. And of course, increased ties between public sector activities and library in general, as I was saying. Public campaign activities. Somebody was talking about health services as campaigns, where the libraries must be ambassadors or places for these state or national campaigns. So what are the professional roles? If you talk about the library as a kind of open, informal learning center, it's about supporting all these idea generation, develop informal learning methods and so on, cultivate the intelligent research, so to speak. And the staff must be expert in learning process, didactics, communication, that kind of stuff. If you talk about the inclusive library, as I hear you've been talking about, you need also to be able to bridge the digital divides, support formation of individualization and identity and so on, integrate ethnic and cultural minorities. And we've heard a lot of examples of how you can do it. But first of all, you need to have empathy and presence when you're a librarian in the front row of this. And then, when you talk about back office, expert in development, user-driven innovation, idea generation, e-services. This guy actually, he is a Finnish librarian in Helsinki, and he invented this information gas station, which is kind of retro, very funny thing. This is 10 years old, more than 10 years old actually. Now he's into semantics on the web, and you wouldn't put him in front of the desk communicating with people coming in the library. You really wouldn't. But you would love to have this guy working in the library, I can tell you. But in the back office. So we need to reinvent totally the concept of the library, if the library is going to survive. Now, yesterday somebody was telling me here in the coffee break that yesterday there was a presentation where an NGO organization of some kind had been in the libraries and providing some sort of expert help like the one that you actually provide. And the librarians would sort of just step back and say, this is not our thing. If the libraries tend to do that, they will not exist in a very short time span. Really. And I would say, and it doesn't matter, as long as the public is provided with that kind of service for free. And we'll just call it something else.